Basketball is very good. Basketball is very good. Basketball is very good. Basketball is very good. Basketball is very good.
Hello! Welcome to the Ringers NBA trade deadline after party. It's not even the after party. We're still in the middle of the deadline. We were gonna go live in a little bit, and then Cleveland decided to tear it all down and build it all back up again. Chris Ryan, Justin Verrier, John Gonzalez. Guys, let's just run through this trade. Cleveland has literally traded everybody on their team except for LeBron James. We're still sorting out who they've got back, but here's the deals. First, they traded Isaiah Thomas, the most popular man in the locker room, Channing Frye, and a protected 2018 first-round pick to the Lakers for Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr. In another deal, the Cavs got Rodney Hood and George Hill from Utah and Sacramento, respectively. Utah gets Jay Crowder and Derrick Rose. Sacramento gets Joe Johnson from Utah. Amon Shumpert from Cleveland goes to Sacramento. 2020 second-round pick also in the mix there. They also sent Dwayne Wade back to Miami only days after he said he'd like to retire there. Wishes do come true.
Right.
For a heavily protected second-round pick. Justin has been talking for weeks about how the Cavs should basically trade everything that isn't nailed down or part of the pre-game media buffet, except for LeBron, and just rebuild this roster in midseason. The Verrier plan is in effect.
The Verrier plan.
Justin, you must be thrilled.
Guys, I did it!
Yes!
This is all me. A lot of people on Twitter are adding me right now and giving me congratulations. I'm not going to demur here. I did everything. This is all me. I fixed it. I'm excited.
And are you happy about it? What is this Cavs team now?
It's a different Cavs team. It's a younger Cavs team. It's a more athletic Cavs team. I'm not sure if it's the Cavs team from 2 years ago or if it's as good as that sort of team. There's still a lot to be decided here. But I'm more excited about this team than I was 2 days ago, which is a big thing to say considering 2 days ago we were just talking about how they were absolutely buried.
This is an unprecedented revamp of a contender. I mean, as currently constituted before today, they were not a contender, I don't think, even though they had LeBron James and anything had happened in a seven-game series. Are they back into the title contention mix?
They're definitely interesting and relevant again. I mean, we were just talking about this Verrier protocol. I'm on board with this. I fully endorse it because prior to what they did today, we all looked at the Cavs and if yes, they have LeBron and playoff LeBron. I'm a big advocate for playoff LeBron being a different LeBron and marshaling them into something greater than they were during the regular season. However, last night aside, and last night's game was a lot of fun, I think we all agree that that was not a good Cavs team. To start these trades, I looked at the Lakers trade in specific and liked it a lot better for the Lakers than I did for the Cavs. I thought it was fine, but I didn't think that it would.
Well, because in this for a second there, we were like, so you guys traded Kyrie Irving for Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden you go, okay, I don't know what this team will be, but it has to be better than what they were. And at the very, very least, and you said it when you walked in, and you said, they're going to have to learn how to play together. However, the team that they had that knew how to play together wasn't doing shit.
Exactly.
So that it can't be any worse. I
Right.
think it's going to be very interesting to see this team and what they can become.
This is NBA Trade Deadline group chat. You can send us questions or comments at #RingerNBA. I'm Chris Ryan. This is Justin Verrier. This is John Gonzalez. This chair is empty. We will be getting visits from Kevin O'Connor. We will get visits from Haley O'Shaughnessy, various other Ringer members. So as people are making moves, as deals are coming in, we're going to keep trying to stay on top of this stuff. All right, let's very quickly just go through what we think the Cavs starting lineup looks like and what's different about this starting lineup aside from the actual human beings wearing the jerseys, tactically playing style that we're going to see. Okay, so you have to assume George Hill starting at point guard.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you start Clarkson at the 2?
You probably start Rodney Hood at the 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say.
I like Clarkson as offense off the bench. I mean, he's a guy, especially with the second unit with the Lakers, where I don't know if you guys noticed, Clarkson loves to shoot.
Yes.
Let him do that. Come off the bench, be the heat check guy. He's a walking human. Like, as a human, he's a walking heat check. Just let him do that. He's never seen a shot he doesn't like. I think he'd be way better suited for the second unit.
Okay, so we have Clarkson off the bench. So we have George Hill, Rodney Hood, LeBron James. He's pretty good.
He's okay.
At the 4, Kevin Love. At the 5, Tristan Thompson. So we assume that's going to be the starting lineup?
I would start Larry Nance at the 5 just because he's going to give you a lot of the things you might get from Thompson, but without kind of like having to slow down the pace, being able to kind of get out there on the wing and run on the fast break. Nance can protect the rim. He's very bouncy. He's an athlete. So I like him in that lineup.
He's a legacy Cav.
Absolutely. That's a great little wrinkle to this. I also like the ability for them to slide Love back to the 5 and play a little bit smaller when JR is shooting well. So
Yes.
you can go Hill, JR, Hood at the 3, LeBron at the 4, Love at the 5. So they have some options.
John, it is not an understatement to say, and we'll get back into some of the different combinations that they can throw out there as we sort of process this whole thing. But because I do want to talk about Rodney Hood, but it is not an understatement to say that Isaiah Thomas literally talked his way out of Cleveland.
Wow. Like, how bad? That's why I was saying, like, with the first trade, my initial reaction was, one, I like it for the Lakers because they can clear a ton of cap. They can go after 2 max players. They got a pick to do it, which was kind of crazy. And then, like, they got off of Jordan Clarkson's contract. And Larry Nance, everybody with the Lakers, and I'm talking from players to management to coaches to media members, loves Larry Nance. So he's going to be a good fit in Cleveland. But he's Larry Nance, right? He's fine. He's good. He'll help them. But it's not like they gave up a ton to clear that space, which is why my other side of that reaction was, man, how bad did the Cavs want to get rid of Isaiah Thomas? He was there for a quick hot second. You guys talked about it on yesterday's pod with Simmons, where he came in and just basically shit all over everyone. He had been there for a minute. He was injured, came off and just started running his mouth. And then has there been a bigger and quicker fall than Isaiah Thomas from everybody loves him, he's a potential MVP candidate,
To locker room.
Lakers cast off?
Right. Well, counterpoint. He gets there. It's weird. It's not good. It's just the vibes are bad. There's no certainty about LeBron. Everybody is basically like, so you're not Kyrie Irving. We have firmly established that. He's got a lot of money on the line. He's playing his way back into shape. Maybe he felt like if he didn't play before the All-Star break, he would get forgotten. Maybe that he was worried they would make moves that would basically sublimate his productivity when he did get back. So he's back. He's claiming he's at 70 to 80%. He's complaining about practices, about how they don't practice. He's complaining about mid-game adjustments and how teams always make runs and the Cavs aren't prepared for it. So it's basically a shot at Lou. He's essentially, so here's the counterpoint. He wanted this. He wanted out of Cleveland, and he knew that the only way to do that was to basically make it that he would either be unplayable or untenable in the locker room. And he was well on his way to being unplayable. They started subbing in Cedi Osman last night for defensive possessions, and Ty Lue came out after the game and was like, I basically have to figure out a way to keep this guy on the floor. That was either going to be Derrick Rose's minutes or Isaiah Thomas's minutes.
Yeah, and it was great when Isaiah Thomas commented after that game. It was like, oh, yeah, this was great. Like, this is exactly what we should be doing. This is what I knew all along. I think one of the interesting wrinkles of this entire kind of year for the Cavs is they clearly went out and made the deal in the summer for the Brooklyn pick. We've been hearing for months now that was the main reason why they made that deal. Isaiah was a throw-in. They knew he was going to be hurt. After all these moves that they've made, they still have that Brooklyn pick. Yeah. And you look at the moves that they made, the more interesting thing about most of the guys, maybe not George Hill, but most of the other guys, these are the guys they can walk forward with even after LeBron leaves.
Yeah, and this is the major thing that I wanted to get to, is this: what does this mean for LeBron? Because Brian Windhorst tweeted out, basically, the Cavs have made it easier, have cleared a path for the Lakers to go after LeBron and Paul George. And that would be the most Dan Gilbert thing ever
Yeah.
is if he accidentally made it so that the Lakers had the flexibility to approach these two max players. But on the flip side, they just said to him, look, you didn't like the team as currently constituted. There were factions within the locker room. You guys were beatable on any given night. You're not imposing. You're not nobody's scared to play the Cavs. Now they reset the clock a little bit. Sure, it's going to take 25 games for these guys all to get to know each other on a level that he probably had familiarity with Channing Frye or Dwayne Wade, obviously. But man, like they could be a completely different team in the playoffs. That's scary.
That ripple effect that you mentioned with the Lakers, where the Cavs might have accidentally stumbled into the very thing that makes LeBron leave, is kind of hilarious. But the main component here is they had to try. They had to do something. And Danny wrote about this. We've all talked about it. Danny wrote about how it was sort of looking 2010-ish all over again for them, where going into the decision, they knew that they had to make a move. They tried to get Amari Stoudemire. They couldn't do it. Antoine Jameson was the consolation prize. It wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And LeBron hits the road. This time around, they go, look, we know LeBron is getting itchy. This is not a good team. We know about the barrier protocol. Let's implement it and take a shot, because if you don't take a shot, then you know what the outcome is. The outcome is automatically he's gone.
Decimation.
So try this and worry about the offseason and the offseason.
And they still have the Brooklyn pick.
Right. I think that's the big thing to take away from all of this, because it's very fascinating that the Lakers and Cavs would team up on such a deal, because they're really competing in 4 months or whatever it is for LeBron's services.
Yes.
Even if Gilbert and LeBron are beefing, they're still going to want LeBron on their team. He does so much for them, especially at the gate, especially in terms of just the money he generates for the franchise, for the city, all that. But I think it's interesting when you look at both teams going into the offseason, the Lakers have the possibility to be something much, much more, which they've kind of been selling for years now. We don't know what that is. A lot of it's going to come down to Paul George or someone like Paul George getting into that
Someone's got to
franchise.
go first.
Right.
Someone's got to dive in the pool first and find out if it's full of glass.
The Cavs all of a sudden have some young guys on the team, some of whom were just on the Lakers and part of that young core.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, they not only have the possibility to get a top 5 pick, but they could also swing that into something else. So all of a sudden, their future looks a lot brighter. Kobe Altman, props to that dude. He did a really good job here.
Yeah, and
what about Dan Gilbert, though? What about props to Dan Gilbert?
No,
Really?
no, I'm all set on that.
Take.
The new Dr. Bus.
They got off of two. I mean, they got off some of their old players too, right? I
Yes.
mean, D Wade wants to go. Fine. See, they gave him away for a protected second, which is basically like, we got you airfare. Good luck to you.
Well, it
And
almost
then-
makes me wonder whether or not Ty Lue is like, honestly, the person who's not going to play because of Cedi Osman is Dwayne Wade. And I think what he saw last night was, oh, you can switch? Like, you can have a guy who can guard 3 positions. This is wild. Because you know what? They just went out and got a couple of those guys. Today. They just went out and got Larry Nance, who can play across the front court. They just went out and got Clarkson, who can guard 2 or 3 positions. Like, I'm not saying that those guys are Kawhi Leonard reincarnated, but they've got more athletic, faster, and switchable.
Younger.
And that's what they had to do. Whether LeBron stays or not, they are now a modern NBA basketball team.
healthier. They got rid of Derrick Rose as well, and Shams is reporting that Utah is going to release Derrick Rose.
Yeah, that's
So,
not a surprise. I would expect Joe Johnson
Big
to get
one.
bought out
Yeah.
in Sacramento as well. And Joe Johnson is somebody, I don't know if the Cavs could possibly fit him in. I mean, Oklahoma also was supposed to be a real player in the trade deadline, and it sort of sweetened the pot for Paul George to stay. They have been linked with Avery Bradley, but Joe Johnson might be somebody that they want to bring in to give them second unit scoring, especially if Melo's ankle is gamey.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the interesting wrinkle of this going forward is just like the whole thing we've been talking about is how much LeBron has power and how much he should have power. It's great that he has such agency in this game. I love what it does to the rest of the league, for the players and everything, all that. But at the same time, how much should he have say? And it seems like they pretty much wrested everything away from him. The reporting from The Athletic yesterday was essentially that
the front office doesn't talk to him.
They've been operating just kind of ancillary to LeBron James, and it's almost like they're saying, this is what's best for you.
Right.
Yeah, we love Dwayne Wade. I'm glad you drink all this wine together. You guys have a great time, but he's not going to win you a title. Let's push him to the side. Let's start anew.
Clarkson got to get his wine game up.
And frankly, like yesterday on Ringer NBA show, Bill did say that he had heard that Wade was in the mix in some of the locker room disputes in the Cavs organization. This is a team that was the land. It was fit in or fit out. It was a lot of the stuff was we may not be as fast and talented as the Warriors, but if we play as a unit, we have LeBron James. We can beat you on any given night. If that kind of team chemistry was getting messed with too much, even by someone who was so close to LeBron, then maybe this was a, hey, like we have to cut our losses entirely. And maybe this is a message to LeBron. Maybe it is a, you don't run things here message. I don't know.
If that's the message, that's a stupid message. I think, like, also at some point, I mean, honestly, like, you have to talk to LeBron because he's the greatest player on the planet and, like, the core of your franchise. And if he walks, all of a sudden you're whatever rebuilding you think you're doing on the fly, it's still a reset. But yeah, I think LeBron's not stupid. He's one of the smartest basketball players of all time. He's quite aware that team sucked and that Dwayne Wade was past his prime and that Derrick Rose had already had his expiration date years ago and that you had to add pieces and the team configuration had to be altered. And I think, like, to whatever extent he does like drink, and look, like, I bet Dwayne Wade has to be an amazing wine hang. Yep. I'm sure it's great.
A lot of Pinots.
They're rich. They can do that in the off season. Yeah. This is about winning basketball games, and I think, look, it might not make them like legit Golden State Warrior contenders, but it can't be worse than what they had on the court so far.
It definitely gets them better. It gets them closer to Boston. I'll say that.
Yes.
I can't believe I have to say that, but it gets them way closer to being able to play Boston. All right, let's sort of reset here a little bit. We obviously had this huge Cavs trade, right? We've had a couple of deals leading up to this. It was a quiet morning. We thought Jameer Nelson was going to be about as good as it gets. We had some talk about how the buyout market was going to be bigger than the trade deadline. Then the Cavs do everything here. We have a couple questions from social media, from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope. Keep hitting us up. Hashtag RingerNBA if you have questions or comments. Gavin Pierce Sass wants to know, has a team ever gone from recognizable players to deep cuts as efficiently as the Cavs? Nearly every player they traded is less known than who they traded. So basically they went from, here's the thing, Gavin.
But those names were all just names. They were empty shells, though.
Exactly.
From 2011.
Yes.
They had the 2011 All-NBA team.
Yes.
You mentioned this when there was, like, rumors about, like, what if they had also landed, like, Dwight. And then you have Derrick Rose and Dwight and D. Wade and LeBron on the same team, which would have been amazing in 2011, not so amazing in 2018.
Also, a lot of the guys, I guess, are more role players. But, like, George Hill was a key part of that Indiana Pacers team from a few years ago that played against LeBron James.
I like George Hill. He can play. Look, when he's healthy, yes, things did not go well for him in Sacramento, and yes, he is slightly older than you'd probably want him to be, but he plays really good defense, and he's a good team dude, and, like, you throw him into this mix, and I think he's going to be a significant upgrade at a point guard position for the Cavs that has been terrible this year.
But that's a good point, though. The injury concern.
Yeah.
George Hill, Rodney Hood,
sure.
both huge injury concerns.
Yes.
That's something we definitely have to keep track of.
Larry Nance also plays very hard, breaks his hand on his dunks, you know what I mean, or breaks his hand just hitting somebody in the back of the head by accident. Like, these guys are, like, this is not, they did not get themselves a group of Iron Men. I mean, the NBA, you never know what's going to happen, but the reason the injuries are really important to keep in mind here is that chemistry is going to be the most important part of this entire undertaking. This is going to be on LeBron to integrate these guys into the way he likes to play, and it's going to be on Ty Lue to figure out a way to get literally, like, 7 strangers to figure out how to play high-level NBA basketball with 30-some games left and a playoff series that could define the future of the franchise, a postseason that could define the future of the franchise. We have Elliot Pearl on Twitter who wants to know, who is the second option right now? Can I throw one out there?
Go for it.
On his night, Rodney Hood.
Ooh.
30-point a night, Rodney Hood. 3-point shooting, Rodney Hood. They needed to stretch the floor. Kyle Korver is too old to be out there in playing significant minutes. He needs to be a spot guy. Like, Rodney Hood, if he can actually stroke it and if he can stay consistent, he could be a really important part of this team.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Rodney Hood as the type of guy who could fill in the Gordon Hayward role. So it's an interesting parallel there, but the problem with him is not only injuries, it always seems like he could never really get it going. He never really stepped into what was in Utah the perfect situation for him. So I think a lot of it's ultimately just going to come down to LeBron and whoever's open. Like, when we talk about just like hierarchy and everything like that, Love will obviously be heavily involved when he is healthy, but I think it's just going to be LeBron against the world. And I think that's the most interesting part of this.
That won them the championship.
You're banking on LeBron to be the best player in the world, and quite frankly, he is.
It feels more like that title-winning team. It feels more like a defensively stout,
right,
athletic, you know, you think about that title-winning team. You think about Tristan Thompson out-rebounding 4 other people on the floor. You think about LeBron bully ball. You think about Kyrie starting to come into his own. Kevin Love doing what he needed to do on a nightly basis. There wasn't as much watch that game last night, and the main crunch time offense until the Cedi Osman hour started. Well, really, like the LeBron James Superman hour started, was this weird it wasn't even a pick because Isaiah would jump out right before the pick happened and would stand in the 3-point line. That's not going to beat the Warriors. That's not going to beat the Raptors. That might not even beat the Wizards. You know what I mean? Like that, they needed to get a much more dynamic, fluid offense going. Let's just kind of look at what we got on our hands. The Cavs now have a $50 million luxury tax bill. Ooh. So that's interesting. It's worth keeping in mind.
Dan Gilbert probably super excited about that.
Well, you know what? There's a lot that could come off the table, right? Rodney Hood is a restricted free agent coming up, or are we unrestricted?
We'll find out.
I believe he's restricted.
Restricted free agent coming up. You've got, I'm sure George Hill would be tradable, and LeBron James could be coming off the books. So, yes, you are a little bit weighed down right now. It's going to be an expensive year, but you still have the Brooklyn pick, and you still have a lot of different pieces. Cedi Osman could be an interesting piece for somebody to trade. You could get off some of these contracts. That was one of the things about this. While Clarkson's expensive, he's at, let me see here. He makes 11. His cap number is 11. He still has $37 million due to him. That's a significant amount of money for Jordan Clarkson.
Right.
But maybe he jumps up a couple of notches with LeBron. Let's just kind of go through this roster and think about first units and second units, okay? And then we can start talking a little bit about ripple effects as we go on. What's your favorite? When you envision, you're like, oh, what an awesome Cavs team this is right now. What's the play? What are you seeing out there?
In terms of
George
how
Hill
they
bringing
play?
the ball out, LeBron on the wing, George Hill playing a little bit off the ball. You got Hood out there.
Yeah.
Is Clarkson out there? Is Nance out there with Love? What's happening?
Yeah, that's interesting because the off-ball George Hill thing. I mean, George Hill can stand over there and pop threes. That's fine, and he plays great defense. And you're always going to want the ball in LeBron's hand as the point forward, especially in the playoffs. The more usage rate for LeBron, the better. And I think these pieces, again, Larry Nance doesn't need the ball, doesn't need to shoot to be somebody who can affect the game. Yes, you would rather him not probably break his hand trying to dunk, but he's a super hustle guy, and I like that about this team, or the new Cavs, because they needed somebody like that, right? Like a guy who's a really good locker room guy, glue guy. And Rodney Hood, like you said, if he's healthy, big if, he's dynamic offensively.
Yep.
This is a better scoring option than LeBron has had next to him, Kyrie aside, in a while, right? You get a guy on a wing who can score the ball. This is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm encouraged defensively. I think you got a lot of young, athletic, fast guys who could switch, and we're thinking way too far ahead here, but if you're trying to play against the Warriors, those are the type of guys you need. Now, I don't think the type of caliber of defenders that the Warriors are going to throw out there, but at the very least, you could do a little bit more there. On offense, I would like to see them reinvest a little bit more in Kevin Love. We've talked about this for years.
Yeah, the true two.
Right.
The true second option.
I mean, he was so good in Minnesota. Let's see more of those plays kind of sprinkled into
everybody's always been
Ty Lue's
asking
playbook.
for them to bring back some of those everybody. I mean, basketball dorks have been asking for them to bring back some of that Rick Adelman playbook for where Love is more of a central part of the offensive sets. A couple of stats from Synergy that I thought were very pro Cavs. George Hill ranks as one of the most efficient handoff and spot up scorers in the NBA this season, making his fit next to LeBron James an interesting one.
Interesting.
Rodney Hood has shot an effective field goal percentage of 67% playing off the ball in transition and 62% on spot up jumpers in the half court. So he's good when he's open, right? He's good.
Right.
Rodney Hood's a good shooter.
So he's good
when he plays. He also ranks in the 80th percentile in pick and roll ball handlers in terms of offensive efficiency. These are all courtesy of Synergy Sports Tech. Jordan Clarkson averaged 1.06 points per possession in the 22 Laker wins, akin to 84th percentile of all NBA players in efficiency. These guys might be good on good teams. That's what we're learning here.
Can I ask a question? Because you mentioned what would what would we get excited about how they'd play, right? And all of the numbers that you just rattled off sound great in a vacuum. And then I think that we're all in agreement that they had to make changes, and we like in a vacuum these changes. But none of these things operate in a vacuum, and so somebody has to deploy a system, and that somebody at present is Ty Lue.
Yeah.
So it brings me back to
you're forgetting someone.
Larry
Drew. He's also there. Larry Drew's also got.
Larry Drew is
got
also
the
there.
chalkboard.
My question is, do we feel any better about Ty Lue than we did like an hour ago?
Well, I feel like
that's
Ty
your
Lue-
face is how I feel about this.
Ty Lue. Oh, Haley O'Shaughnessy is going to be joining us.
great.
Fresh from blogging about the Cavs. I
Straight
think
off the
Ty Lue
bench.
was. We're going to find out because Ty Lue was fighting a two-front war here, right? Like he basically had the personnel situation that he did. He had Isaiah talking trash about him on a nightly basis, even after victories. So we're going to find out a lot about Ty Lue. As Haley comes and joins us now, is Haley going to come on and join us? This is NBA group chat.
Yeah.
So now we officially have Haley joining us. John Gonzalez, Justin Vera, Chris Ryan, Haley O'Shaughnessy's coming on now. We're talking about the Cavs blowing it up, putting it all
Starting
back
it all
together
over.
on the
Blow
fly.
it up.
Hi.
Hey.
How's it going?
You just got
Good.
traded to the Cavs.
If
I'm
you have
sorry.
questions,
It's funny, I just traded Paulo to the Cavs. So,
if you have
back.
questions
Third-team
for
trade.
NBA group chat trade deadline extravaganza, hit us up #RingerNBA on social media in any way you want. I want to talk a little bit about briefly
okay.
some non-Cavs topics.
What?
Love those
That-
topics.
I know.
Doesn't seem timely.
What well, like what does this mean for some of the teams who were involved in doing business with the Cavs today, such as the Los Angeles Lakers? Is
Means
this
good things for the Lakers, for sure. You
Okay.
can ditch Isaiah. You've got a first-round pick.
you can
don't
just
have to
ditch
deal with
Isaiah?
Jordan.
We're not even this is
Oodles
like
of cap. I really liked
Yeah.
it. For the-
Oodles.
Oodles. Two.
Noodles of oodles.
Two potential. I mean, enough. Look, who knows if they'll be able to get anybody? Like
Okay.
having the ability to get somebody and having the opportunity are two different things.
Thank you, my friend. This is the point I was just going to make.
Guys.
Okay.
Guys,
Too much?
guys,
Too much?
guys.
You guys just lit me up.
The Timberwolves are trying to sign Derrick Rose if he's released by Utah.
That will do it.
Ice!
That's hilarious.
I can't.
I'm nauseous.
Tibbs can't get away from him.
Oh man.
Oh, you've got to be
Can Jeff
kidding
Teague
me.
live?
That's it. Jeff Teague.
I
They're gonna.
honestly don't want Jeff Teague to be on that team anymore anyway. But
had
that's
enough
a trade
already?
that's not going to happen.
Let's
about
get back
Tyus?
to the Lakers,
Get
though.
back to
I
the
want to talk
Lakers.
a little bit about this. So this is coming a couple of days after Magic Johnson gets dinged for the second time for tampering. Although I've got to say, soft tampering.
hilarious.
charges.
You
Soft
just
tampering.
said
I love
something
it.
He
nice.
said Giannis is good, and Giannis said
Yeah.
thanks Magic Johnson. I mean,
The,
like,
the Lakers have the money. I want to say to Magic Johnson, keep talking.
Never
This
tweet,
is a
though.
lot of fun.
if Zadie Smith says like I'm a good writer, it doesn't mean I'm signing with the New York Review of Books, right?
Fair.
Not that- just
Did
saying.
that happen?
Yeah, just
No, but I mean, what John was saying before, I think, makes a lot of sense. The Lakers have been selling exceptionalism and the opportunity for so long. Let's see you do anything.
Yeah.
It's been
Right. Yeah.
5 years,
Right.
dogs. You claim that you weren't tanking. You were tanking.
Yeah.
And literally all
Wait.
you've done is draft.
I feel Lakers Nation waking up to Justin Barrier right now. I can't wait to feel the social media
Listen,
heat
in
for that.
defense of the-
Hashtag Ringer NBA if you want to roast Justin. I'll give you his home address.
In defense of the Lakers, I 100% agree with you again. Like the opportunity and the ability to get these players are two different things, but the opportunity comes first, right? You have to at least clear the space to, in theory, go out and get these players. Otherwise, you can't get them. So I'm with you. Can they get them? Who knows? Do they have a chance now? Yes, they do.
Also, Mitch Kupchak, great job because the Lakers have pretty much. Oh no, I'll get that.
Unexpected winner of the trade deadline, Mitch Kupchak.
I was gonna to twist it because the Lakers have pretty much spent the past 2 years just clearing the decks of your mistakes.
Yes.
You have made some of the worst deals possible with Luol Deng, Timofey Mozgov. I believe the Clarkson deal was his deal. Like, they've had to get rid of so much as a result of that one summer.
I think that's why it's more important to them now just to have the opportunity. Because I agree with you. I'm not sure anyone's super sold on going there. But this new front office came in and they're like, okay, they've been stuck the last how many years. We're going to clear this out and have at least the opportunity to bring guys in.
Yeah, they have the Hall of Fame mogul now.
Gabrielle Union, super excited about that
Oh,
trade,
that was my
by the
first
way.
thought.
Yeah.
I was
Good
like,
for
oh,
Gabrielle, big
finally.
winner.
I mean, Miami's
She's out
nice.
of Ohio.
Yeah, exactly.
For Isaiah, he gets to start over again. He's made his run through some prestige franchises here over the last 9 months.
He has a list.
Yeah.
The list is growing.
Yeah. Is Isaiah going to be the starting point guard for the Lakers? Is he going to play with Lonzo? Is Lonzo and Isaiah as a starting backcourt going to give up 160 points a game? Like, what's the plan here for the Lakers?
No, I don't see them starting together. Do any of you?
Lonzo
No.
and Isaiah?
That seems
Okay,
that seems
so all
very
right,
wrong.
so that's interesting. Let's say that they don't start together because again, that would be a very
That's a
weird fit.
weird-
I'm with
yeah.
you.
Lonzo has to start.
Lonzo has to start,
Isaiah's
right?
coming off the bench. He's going to be grumpy about it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
just how
bad
it is.
both ways.
Yeah.
Hey, how about you buy out Isaiah because he can't play basketball?
So
Just a thought.
would you rather have, real quick?
I mean, it's a cheap
as
buyout.
as a buyout, would you rather have who of the 3 players would you consider the most attractive? Isaiah Thomas, Joe Johnson, or Derrick Rose?
Well,
Joe Johnson.
not
Joe.
Derrick Rose.
Joe Johnson.
Yeah, Joe
100%.
Johnson.
100%
Well,
Joe.
I would buy out
What do you
Derrick Rose
need?
first, and then Isaiah, and then Joe. That's
I would sign
power
Isaiah just
rankings.
for the banter.
you get a big pop for the banter.
Celtics? The Celtics need some,
that
some
would be
point guard
awesome.
play
That would be
instead of
fantastic.
Tyreek
What if he
Evans.
just he's coming home?
I love it.
Well, there's
not?
all these conspiracy theories about Danny has made him his sleeper agent to blow up. What do we got?
Something
Oh my
happened.
God. This is an amazing tweet from Mark Stein. Strong expectation in Cleveland that one of the Cavaliers' soon to be open roster spots, barring any more trades, will be filled by Kendrick Perkins. Let's go!
I thought he just
Bring
retired
Perk back.
from the G League.
Yeah, well, he's back.
He's
baby.
unretiring.
He's unretiring to come sit on the end of the bench. And instill some locker room discipline.
Maybe
Yes.
they told LeBron that Dwayne had to go, but they could.
here's the swap.
Here's your whoopee. You can have Perk.
Have you guys already talked about the Wade thing?
Not
really.
I want to
Not in
know,
depth.
was it either LeBron orchestrated where Wade came to him and he was like, yeah, I'm not into this anymore. Like, can you guys please send me home? Or was it the front office being like, LeBron, we're in control. We're going to send off your best friend.
I don't think we'll have to wait long to find out. I have a feeling that will be made clear to us. I think that the Wade Riley Miami thing had been they had kissed and made up, and I think they all wanted that to be the end.
Oh, for sure.
Point. Dwayne had said that. Also, for what it's worth, Dwayne Wade's longtime agent had passed away recently. He had basically been playing like once every 3 games at this point in terms of like all out Dwayne Wade. He had like last night he had off. So I don't necessarily think that he's going to retire, but I do think we are in the last exit of his career. So it makes sense to me that they maybe had a mutual decision because they got so little back from him. It's either that or Dwayne Wade was literally tearing the locker room apart.
Do we think? I mean, he's obviously at the end here, but when he's played this season, he's been okay. Like, let's say that he's not done and he's going to try. What kind of contribution do we think Dwayne Wade can still give
Well,
to
he's
the
not
Heat?
like
Because don't
fully
forget about
like Haslam yet.
yeah, he's not
like,
dead.
Not yet, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And the Heat have been not dead yet, as it turns
Love you,
out.
Udonis.
And the Heat
Same
have
for me,
been
yeah.
the Heat have been one of those really interesting mid-tier teams in the East. Like, can he help them a little bit?
that's interesting. That's like the
what I'm
last
saying.
thing I thought about.
Yeah, I
want
want to know like what's it mean for the Heat.
I think Wade is going to be the new mascot. He's the new Bernie.
I think he's the new Zoe. I think this is
Yeah.
like he plays, he plays, he fills in for some of what they're losing with Dion Waiters. He can give them some points. It's going to be an emotional surge
Is he gonna
for
wanna
that
start?
team.
Also, for Pat Riley, 2 years ago, I think it's a good move for them because a lot of their future is wrapped up in them just kind of getting free agents to come down.
Yeah, but if you the loves on is like this idea of like your Heat family. You're taken care of for such a long time. So
You got to fine.
we're not breaking up.
No,
96 Bulls here.
No, that's not the. They have to unplug somebody. Is what I'm saying. Like you've got 4 guys, and they keep putting. My point here is that they keep putting people in front of Frankie.
Your point is that
Smokes.
Trey Burke's development might get
I
stunted
think
by
Trey
the
Burke
arrival.
is going to be an amazing
but
player
maybe
in the
they
NBA.
won't
and he's
now,
got a
though.
huge future.
Maybe they won't keep putting people in front of him because Porzingis is out. The season is
But they
basically
have
out.
physical
Yeah.
bodies.
So
They
now
just
they're
traded
like,
for
okay.
Moutier.
Okay.
Like you're not going to play Moutier off the ball. You're not going to play Frankie Smokes off the ball.
Well, maybe
you've got
you
Jarrett
can.
Jack.
They've traded Moutier. It's a 3-way deal. Denver, New York, and Dallas have agreed on a 3-way deal.
interesting.
Moutier to the Knicks, Devin Harris to Denver, Doug McDermott to Dallas.
Doug McDermott
Dallas.
moves again.
WYD, Mark Cuban?
Devin Harris to Denver?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
I don't know.
What
is
is
up with
Doug
that?
McDermott can't find a home anywhere.
I
No,
think
but-
he will.
He needs to go
Doug
back to
McDermott
college.
This is the sub?
is basically PG-13 Chandler.
Yes,
He's basically
that's a good one.
Mark Cuban has somebody. They can't quite go to clubs. Maybe they'll go to like the mall.
They'll go
and
to
hang
trivia
out.
night.
Go to Orange Julius. Do they still have Orange Julius's?
Sure.
Wait, can
Orange
we
Gina?
just go back to the Frankie Smokes component for a second? I don't think Moutier is a huge impediment for him because he's Moutier, but it is something that you'd want to kick the tires on. No,
Well, you can't turn the entire team over to Frankie right now. I mean,
like,
he's
why not?
playing like 25 minutes a game, right?
Okay, I would say the counter is One, there are a lot of minutes at point guard, and Jarrett Jack should not be getting any of them.
But he
One
keeps
sec.
getting
The stream
minutes.
went off, so we're just going to reset right now. You meant right now, right, Sean?